Hey guys, tonight we drift backward into a world where the idea of keeping clean isn't a righteous habit, but more of a seasonal suggestion. You picture yourself in dusty sandals, stepping through a settlement where people smell like hard work and history, and nobody seems too bothered by it. The air's dry, the streets are busy, and somewhere in the distance, someone is loudly insisting that smelling natural is good for the soul. And you probably won't survive this. If you were actually transported here, your modern immune system would look around once, file a complaint with management, and immediately resign. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And hey, if you want to be part of this sleepy little tradition we've built here, drop a comment with your location and local time, just to see how magically spread out this late-night crew is. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You trudge across a dusty early Roman road, long before marble columns and grand bathhouses define the empire. Rome isn't even Rome yet. Just a cluster of lives bumping along with no sense of the luxury it will someday flaunt. Bathing isn't a routine, it's rare, inconvenient, and slightly dramatic. If you want to clean yourself, you're probably going to a river. And if it's winter, well, maybe you don't. Maybe nobody does, and everyone agrees, silently, that this is fine. You catch the smell of wood smoke curling through the street, the sound of livestock moving between markets, and you realize there is no place to go to get away and take a bath. Water isn't a pampering substance, it's survival. A cup to drink, a splash to rinse, and most of the time, that's the end of the story. But even here, even in this dusty simplicity, there are hints of what's coming. A pot of warmed water set aside by a careful mother, a merchant with a basin to dab his face after travel. And somewhere on the banks of the Tiber, a few neighbors are tentatively performing what might be the prototype of community bathing, awkwardly close, trying hard not to make eye contact. It's not a social event, it's just necessity. A mainstream historical fact floats behind everything you see. The earliest Romans treated bathing as irregular and practical, not cultural. Cleanliness wasn't a concept wrapped in ritual or prestige yet. It wasn't about luxury or morality. It was just something you did when you felt dirty, which wasn't very often by modern standards. You walk past a stall selling clay vessels and overhear a particularly dramatic argument. Two men are insisting loudly that washing too much might actually be unhealthy. One believes it weakens the body, the other claims it angers certain spirits. And just around the corner, someone smears a mysterious mixture of ashes and animal fat onto their forearms, convinced it keeps away disease. Congratulations, you've just witnessed an early soap prototype, and it smells exactly like you think it does. Historians still argue whether the earliest Romans even had a coherent philosophy of hygiene, or whether survival simply drowned out the urge for comfort. Did people prefer to be slightly clean and unable to show it, or did they not care at all? The evidence is slippery, like everything in this era. You step into a modest dwelling, an invitation from a smiling family that insists on sharing their food. Inside, you feel the warmth of a hearth and the unmistakable absence of bathrooms. There is no private retreat for washing, no tub to soak in. If someone bathes, they heat whatever water they can spare, pour it into a basin, and splash quickly before it cools. It's practical, efficient, and absolutely not what you would call relaxing spa time. You try to imagine modern life without showers, without that foggy mirror moment where you promise yourself you'll finally get your life together. Here, all the drama of bathing is condensed into 5 minutes with a bucket. If you brought a scented body wash from the future, you'd be treated like a wizard or burned like one. Hard to predict. Outside, the streets are punctuated with fountains. Small, functional, hardly decorative yet. Not places to lounge, not temples of relaxation, just simple conveniences for drinking and rinsing.
A farmer washes his hands, a child splashes his face, and then everyone gets on with their day. You can practically feel how far the city is from its over-the-top future. No steam rooms, no massage oils, no heated floors. If someone suggested building a giant palace exclusively for bathing, people would stare blankly and ask why. The idea would feel like building a stadium just to brush your teeth. But the seeds of something bigger are already here, quiet, unremarkable, easy to miss. People are discovering that washing together builds familiarity. The small riverside gatherings, awkward as they are, create conversations, gossip, relaxation. Humans like feeling clean, even when they pretend they don't. And over time, something shifts. As you walk back toward the road, you notice more pots of heated water in more homes, more neighbors sharing space at the river, more casual interest in looking and feeling just a little nicer. The effort is still clumsy, the supply is still primitive, but you can see a cultural domino beginning to wobble. The funny thing is, nobody here thinks they're living through the slow birth of a Roman bathing tradition. To them, it's just another chore, another incremental habit. But to you, with hindsight as your superpower, it's clear as day. A city that barely bathes will one day become the empire famous for bathing. You look around and take a slow breath. Dust, smoke, livestock, and the faintest hope for lavender somewhere in the distant future. The streets feel the same, but the mindset has shifted. The notion that cleanliness could be pleasant is taking hold. And just before the sun goes down, you hear a local joke. A man says he bathed twice this season, so he's practically a philosopher now. Everyone laughs, and you do too, though maybe for different reasons. They can't possibly grasp what the next centuries will bring. The earliest stage of Roman bathing culture isn't glamorous, it isn't luxurious. It's hesitant, occasionally smelly, and deeply human. But you've seen the flicker of what's to come. The journey toward marble pools, heated rooms, and endless debates over soap versus oil has already begun, even if nobody here realizes it.
You leave behind those hesitant riverside washings and step into a Rome that has started dreaming bigger, not about luxury yet, but about water. You find yourself walking with a group of surveyors squinting at a distant hillside, arguing about angles in a way that would make a high school geometry teacher weep with joy. It turns out everyone wants water in the city, but no one wants to be the one to pay for getting it there. Very relatable. You watch as a politician pretends to care about the common good while clearly calculating how many votes aqueduct support will cost him. The debate feels strangely modern. A few idealists begging for infrastructure investment, cynics grumbling about taxes, and one guy who confidently suggests that everyone should just carry more buckets. If he ran for office today, you can already picture the slogan. But for all the noise, something new is taking shape in the Roman imagination. People here are beginning to realize that water isn't just survival, it could be comfort, it could be daily, it could be predictable. And predictability is something early Rome craves desperately. Fires, droughts, illness, drought again. Life here feels like a series of emergencies. So the idea of a steady, reliable flow of fresh water sounds almost like magic. A mainstream historical fact anchors this moment. The earliest Roman aqueduct, Aqua Appia, would eventually be built in 312 BCE, delivering clean water into the city and rewriting the rules of urban living. But you're standing here before it exists, when the idea is still fragile and the arguments are louder than the hammers that will someday construct it. You walk through a marketplace where vendors are selling simple tools and clay pipes. Some citizens seem skeptical of the entire concept of aqueducts. A stern older woman insists that water from the hills will be too cold for civilized people. Another man says channeling water across distances will anger the gods of springs. And on a nearby wall, someone has carved a message that loosely translates to "No more taxes for fancy plumbing." Humans have not changed. Historians still argue whether these objections were mostly practical, fear of cost, maintenance, and vulnerability to sabotage, or whether superstition, property disputes, and political factions played an equal role. Written records hint at both, but they leave enough room for endless scholarly debates, which is exactly how academics like it. You follow a survey team to a nearby field where early design sketches are being smoothed into the dirt with a stick. There's excitement here, an ambitious hope that water could be something Rome controls rather than obeys. And just as someone proudly draws a perfectly straight channel, another person rushes in and reminds everyone that the land slopes. The argument that follows lasts over an hour and teaches you two things. Romans don't love being wrong, and everyone thinks they're an engineer. The quirky part of this story arrives when you learn how some early innovators tested potential water routes. Instead of meticulous measurements, a few would release floating objects, tiny carved boats, nutshells, even hollowed fruit into small streams to see how water wanted to flow. It's half science and half letting nature do the homework, which is honestly a vibe. You head back toward the city center, where water, scarce and unreliable, still arrives in barrels carted in from the outskirts. Prices fluctuate, tempers flare. You walk past a line of tired people waiting for their turn at a communal fountain, rationing each pitcher. You start to understand why the idea of aqueducts refuses to die, no matter how many politicians groan about the cost. You lean on a sun-warmed stone wall and listen to two laborers daydreaming about the future. A Rome where water flows freely, where people can wash whenever they want, where households don't have to negotiate over who gets the cleanest bucket. They speak like children imagining impossible sweets, their hopes so casual and so huge. Imagine telling them there will someday be baths big enough to hold thousands of people, heated rooms, steam fogging the air, fountains singing over marble floors. They would laugh, but a hopeful part of them would believe you. You continue walking, following the sound of pickaxes, until you reach a construction site where the earliest channels are being carved. It's messy work, mud, stone, miscalculations, and frequent shouting. You see a young architect who realizes mid-project that he measured in the wrong direction and tries to pretend it was all part of the plan. A coworker isn't having it, and the two begin arguing about who is technically in charge. You would think they're building a stadium for the gods, not just a water channel. But progress happens anyway. Not smoothly, not quickly, but undeniably. Stone by stone, trough by trough, Rome begins tying itself to the water that once felt distant and untouchable. The more channels they build, the more the city starts to reshape itself around possibility. And people notice. New workshops open near main water routes. Bakers talk about more consistent dough. Dyers dream about fabrics washed without hauling heavy buckets. And very quietly, beneath the dust and arguments, something else shifts. People begin talking about bathing again, not as a chaotic seasonal chore, but as a relaxing activity that could someday become normal, predictable, pleasant. One man jokes that if water ever becomes common enough, he'll bathe 3 times a week and be the most attractive man alive. His friends laugh like it's a ridiculous fantasy, and yet the idea lingers. As the sun goes down, you look back at the half-made water channels stretching across the landscape. They're clumsy now, unfinished, raw, but full of intention. These early aqueduct dreams are the foundation not only of Rome's power, but of its future obsession with public bathing. Someday, heated pools will shimmer under candlelight. Someday, crowds will gather just to soak and gossip. Someday, the entire identity of Rome will hinge on what water can do for a civilization. Right now, though, it's just dirt, arguments, unpaid workers, plans that shift every time someone sneezes. But you can feel it. The city is reaching, wanting, dreaming. Water isn't just survival anymore. Water is about to become culture. And without even knowing it, Rome is taking its first real step toward the bathhouses that will define an empire.
You follow the newly inspired streets of Rome into a moment when the dream of aqueducts has begun to manifest. Not perfectly, not universally, but enough to change the city's pulse. Water, once occasional and unpredictable, now reaches certain neighborhoods with something approaching regularity. And as humans do with every convenience, the Romans immediately start wondering how to turn it into entertainment. You wander down a street that smells of bread, stone dust, and optimism. A small building catches your eye. Nothing grand, nothing decorative, barely more than a shack built around a water source. Yet people are lining up, not to drink, not to collect water, but to bathe. You step inside and find the earliest public baths, if you can even call them that. The place is small, humid, echoing with conversations and splashing, and so obviously experimental that you half expect someone to apologize for the mess. Inside, there are a few modest pools, temperatures inconsistent, the walls bare. No mosaics, no statues, no grand statements, but water, warmth, and the growing suspicion that bathing might actually be nice. A mainstream historical fact settles in the air like steam. The earliest Roman public baths, or balneae, began appearing around the 3rd century BCE, not as extravagant complexes, but as modest communal washhouses, often privately owned and operated for a small fee. They weren't civic monuments, not yet. They were businesses. You watch a man grumble about the admission cost while paying anyway. You watch another man compare temperatures like he's a professional spa critic. You hear laughter, sighs of relaxation, and the unmistakable relief of people who have been working too hard for too long. The vibe is cheap gym sauna meets neighborhood hangout, and it feels like the beginning of a cultural addiction. The quirky part hits when you notice a sign painted on a wooden board, "No washing livestock in the warm pool." You instantly know that means it already happened, probably more than once, and judging by the suspiciously smug goat tied outside, probably recently. Historians still argue whether these early baths were invented for relaxation or whether they happened accidentally, whether someone simply noticed how pleasant it was to sit in heated water and the trend snowballed from there. Some theories suggest merchants created them to attract customers, while others claim military influence, with commanders wanting cleaner, healthier troops. The debate remains unresolved because ancient Romans didn't leave Yelp reviews explaining their motivations. You sink onto a stone bench near the edge of a lukewarm pool and watch everyday life unfold. People of all ages are bathing together, chatting about work, politics, and the weather. A young couple tries to flirt, although nothing kills romance quite like arguing over whose towel is whose. An older man insists the water was warmer yesterday. Someone complains that the steam ruins her hair. Congratulations, society has successfully turned bathing into a group activity and therefore a source of petty grievances. But for every tiny annoyance, there is a moment of bliss. A farmer closes his eyes, muscles finally softening after days of labor. A traveling merchant sighs with such relief you almost sigh with him. Someone dips their head underwater and emerges calmer. Not cleaner, necessarily, but noticeably lighter in spirit. This isn't luxury yet, but it's unmistakably pleasure. And the ripple spreads beyond the bathhouse. Outside, citizens talk about bathing the way modern people talk about trying a new cafe or gym. Some are curious, some are skeptical. Some claim they'll never participate, and you know full well those are the ones who'll secretly try it first. You stroll toward another part of the city where a second bathhouse is just opened. This one is slightly nicer, not because of architecture, but because the owner is aggressively passionate. He's pacing, adjusting water temperature, rearranging benches, desperately trying to make guests feel welcome and pampered. You watch him ask one customer if they're enjoying their visit, and they respond with an indifferent shrug that nearly breaks him. You can feel the competition starting. Who can heat water more evenly? Who can keep their bath clean? Who can get the most regulars? A civilization that once barely bathed now has the beginnings of an economy built around bathing. Trend meets infrastructure meets pride. Nothing snowballs faster. Outside, the conversation gets louder. Did you try the new bath near the market? No, I heard the water's too hot. Too hot? That's exactly how it should be. My cousin went there and said the benches were slippery. Well, his cousin has unreasonable expectations. You can practically hear the Yelp reviews forming in real time. You follow a group of gossiping bathgoers to yet another newly opened facility. This one, interestingly, constructed next to a tavern. Someone has clearly realized that customers emerging relaxed and happy are more likely to buy wine. It's the ancient world's version of a strip mall spa next to a smoothie bar. Inside, you catch a moment that says everything about the cultural shift happening. A man stepping into warm water closes his eyes and whispers a small prayer, not to a god of war or crops or luck, but to the pleasure of rest. The city has discovered the sacredness of stillness. The walls are still plain, the floors are dusty stone, but something undeniable has awakened. People don't want bathing to be rare anymore. They want it to be part of life. A young boy, watching the adults soak, asks his mother if someday he will be allowed to use the baths. She softens, smiles, and tells him yes, maybe soon. And in that moment, you can feel the shift from novelty to expectation. This isn't a fad anymore. This is becoming culture. The early bathhouses you visited today are humble, inconsistent, and sometimes a little unsanitary, but they've triggered something Roman society didn't realize it needed: shared relaxation. People are discovering comfort, not alone, but together. Slowly, almost accidentally, bathing is becoming social. And outside, across the city, builders sketch new plans, merchants smell opportunity, politicians sniff public approval, and countless exhausted workers dream of sinking into warm water again. Rome hasn't invented luxury yet, but it has invented the desire for it. And desire never sleeps.
You don't leave the warm bathhouses right away. You follow the trail of conversations drifting out of their doors. At first, people are talking about water temperature, who sat too close to whom, and whether the admission fee is fair. But soon, a different question rises, whispered, argued, and dramatically reenacted in every corner of the city. What is the correct way to get clean? You thought bathing was already complicated. Now, Rome introduces you to the melee of soap versus oil scraping. You find yourself walking behind two very determined men, both fresh from a bath. One insists that soap, made from animal fat and ashes, is the future of hygiene, and anyone who refuses it is living like a goat. The other swears by the traditional method, rubbing olive oil on the skin and scraping it off with a curved bronze tool called a strigil, removing sweat and dirt in one elegant motion. He demonstrates by air scraping his arm with elaborate confidence, nearly hitting a passerby. Tension rises. This debate doesn't just live in the streets, it's everywhere. A mainstream historical fact slides into place. By the early days of public baths, Romans were split between using rudimentary soap or performing oil and scrape cleansing, and both schools of thought were fiercely defended. Soap was newer and more utilitarian. Oil was older and carried the social prestige of Greek athletic tradition. You step into a courtyard where a group of bath enthusiasts hosts what can only be described as a cleanliness club meeting. One man stands before the crowd holding a ceramic jar of thick soap, proudly listing its benefits: better smell, deeper cleaning, fewer insects sitting on you like a chair, and, his favorite point, lower risk of slipping if someone drops oil on the floor. He's a showman, and the audience laughs and claps. 5 minutes later, his rival steps up with equal theater and even more ego. He waves a flask of olive oil like holy relics and claims scraping with a strigil purifies body and spirit in the tradition of ancient Greek athletes. He says soap is lazy, crude, and for people who don't appreciate art. Someone claps dramatically, someone else boo hisses, and you realize hygiene has become the hottest philosophical battle in Rome. Socrates would be proud and also deeply confused. The quirky part of the scene emerges when you hear about the fads. Some people are mixing oil with sand for extra exfoliation, a bold choice you can practically feel scraping your sleep-deprived imagination. Others swear by imported goat's milk soap from Gaul, claiming it cures fatigue, back pain, bad luck, and possibly heartbreak. There's even a rumor that rubbing crushed rose petals on your elbows makes you irresistible. Rome is one bad infomercial away from going full skincare influencer. Historians still argue whether the soap versus oil divide was mostly practical or mostly aesthetic. Was it an economic dispute, soap being cheaper for the poor and oil a luxury for the wealthy? Or a philosophical one, soap representing modernity and oil embodying tradition? Evidence exists for both interpretations, and scholars continue to volley footnotes and lectures over the matter like Olympic tennis. You drift into a changing room of a bathhouse where the debate becomes personal. A man enters, dripping water, and pauses in the middle of the room. To your left, a soap crowd motions him over like a group of recruiters offering life insurance. On your right, the oil scrape advocates open their jar dramatically, like they're promising immortality. The man freezes, realizing this is a political decision disguised as skincare. You watch him fake a sudden urgent appointment and flee, probably the wisest move. Meanwhile, children are already choosing sides without understanding what they're fighting for. One little boy refuses to sit next to another in a bath because soap users smell like grandma's laundry. Another loudly declares oil scraping makes you glow like a hero. You can't help but thinking that somewhere, centuries later, two grown adults will still argue over whether bar soap or body wash is better, proving the timeline of human pettiness is unbroken. On a more serious note, though nothing in Rome stays serious for long, you see how this debate affects bathhouse design. Some facilities now have separate rooms, one for oil application and scraping, another for rinsing with soap. Signs on the wall list etiquette rules like "do not insult strangers' cleansing preferences," which suggests that was absolutely happening before the sign appeared. Outside, street vendors capitalize on the drama. One stall sells soap with slogans like "smell fresher than a senator," and another sells strigils with advertising such as "oil is for winners." You spot a third vendor who offers both and cheerfully yells, "I don't care which is better, just buy something." You sit near a fountain where two elderly women gossip with the precision of professional historians. One confides that she switched from oil to soap after her husband slipped on spilled olive oil at the bath and screeched like a dying swan. The other insists that the strigil method gives you firmer skin. The conversation continues for another 20 minutes, and yet you are genuinely captivated. As evening falls, the public baths glow softly with torchlight, and you hear both sides continuing their campaign. The soap advocates boast that they represent progress, science, and practicality. The oil advocates say they're preserving heritage, athletic excellence, and sensual tradition. Rome hasn't had this much fun being dramatic since the invention of politics, which is really saying something. Walking away slowly, you absorb the bigger picture hidden beneath the surface arguments. The city is speaking the language of comfort now. People care about the best way to feel good, not just survive. They're no longer content with clean enough. They want refined, ritualized, perfected cleanliness, performed socially. You look back once more, watching a group of bathgoers emerge from the steamy doorway, half of them glistening with oil, the other half smelling faintly of soap, all of them joking, relaxed, and energized. They don't realize it yet, but they are shaping the blueprint of Roman identity. The baths are no longer just places to wash. They're shaping lifestyles, loyalties, and aesthetics. And as that transformation spreads, the city begins to crave something bigger, bolder, and more impressive than these modest early facilities. Rome is about to build baths worthy of an empire.
You leave behind the steamy rooms filled with heated debates and scented egos and step into Rome, slowly discovering a powerful truth. Hygiene isn't just comfort, it's status. You don't have to look far to see it unfolding. A newly wealthy merchant strolls down the street with an exaggerated shine to his skin, making sure every passerby knows he's just bathed. A politician casually drops into conversation 3 times for safety that he now prefers the more refined bathhouse near the Forum. And you overhear someone whisper, as if reporting a scandal, that a particular senator's son hasn't bathed all week. Cleanliness, it seems, is becoming reputation. You walk into an open courtyard where the air hums with ambition. A man in an immaculate tunic is talking to an architect, not about a house, not about a temple, but about a bathhouse he intends to build. He speaks as though he's planning a monument to himself, which, frankly, he is. The plan is simple. Sponsor a public bath, open it to citizens for free or for a small fee, and boom, instant popularity. Roman politics has quietly discovered self-care as a strategy. A mainstream historical fact rests beneath the surface. By the late Republican period, elite Romans began funding bath complexes as public works, using them to gain prestige, loyalty, and political influence. A flashy bath could win more hearts than speeches ever could. You watch the architect unroll a wax tablet with the design. The prospective patron wants multiple rooms, cold pool, warm pool, hot pool, and lounging areas. He wants columns, mosaics, maybe a statue or two of famous ancestors. He says the citizens should feel lucky to live in my city. The architect nods politely while mentally calculating costs that could bankrupt a small kingdom. It becomes clear that building a bathhouse is not just generosity, it's branding. A senator might hand out bread during election season, but an ambitious rising star builds a bath and hands out comfort every single day. You watch him smile smugly, already tasting victory. Outside on the street, the competitiveness is contagious. Another wealthy family starts planning their bath complex, and soon a third family rushes to match the trend. Within months, the city looks like it's preparing for the ancient world's fanciest bath-off. The quirky part slides in unexpectedly. Some elites begin adding gimmicks to make their bathhouses stand out. One boasts a pool so cold it tests your bravery. Another advertises singing water pipes at sunset, which you later learn are just pipes that rattle and whistle because they're poorly sealed, but the public loves it anyway. A third facility claims their towels are woven with good fortune, and honestly, you kind of want to try them. Everywhere you go, you sense that the bathhouse has become a stage, not just a place to wash. You spot men casually arranging for meetings there, hoping to be seen by important visitors. You hear a woman announce that she will only attend the bath funded by her preferred politician. A young aristocrat loudly pretends he doesn't care where people bathe, even though he switches bathhouses 3 times in 1 week. The social resonance is unmistakable. Bathing is becoming public identity.
Historians still argue whether this shift happened mostly because the wealthy wanted public approval, or because Romans genuinely believed luxurious bathing promoted civic health and harmony. Some scholars say altruism played a real role. Others insist it was just another popularity game dressed up in marble. The answer is probably a little of both, but no one is settling that debate anytime soon. You walk into one of the newer bathhouses and immediately feel the change. The space is larger, the entrance grander, and even the acoustics seem designed to make laughter echo pleasantly. Torchlight dances on polished stone. The crowds inside aren't just bathing, they're being seen bathing. And they behave differently because of it. You watch a merchant talk louder than usual to showcase his business success. You watch a young man pretend to enjoy the very hot pool for much longer than comfort allows because he thinks it looks impressive. You watch someone point out loudly that he's switching from soap to oil for philosophical reasons, which translates to, "I just want people to notice." But in the midst of the theatrics, there are tender moments too. You notice an elderly mason with rough, aching hands sigh deeply as warm water eases his pain. You notice two strangers become friends over shared complaints about taxes. You notice a group of women laughing so hard in the cool pool that you forget politics and pride exist at all. For all its social currency, the bathhouse still offers something unshakably human: relief. You stroll past a mural of marine creatures, simple, charming, imperfect, and listen to a father explain to his little daughter that the bathhouse exists because everyone deserves rest. You know he's not speaking for all of Rome, but to her, he's naming a truth that transcends ambition. Outside again, you see construction everywhere, new walls rising, pools dug, furnaces built for heating water. So many projects happening so quickly that the city begins arguing about which bathhouse has the best experience. People compare tile patterns, they compare water clarity, they compare which bath makes them feel more like someone. And then you overhear a joke that says everything about the moment. At this rate, people won't vote for the best leader, they'll vote for the best temperature control. Everyone laughs, but no one disagrees. You follow the glowing lights of dusk to one last bathhouse opening ceremony. The patron stands proudly while guests pour in, admiring the architecture. He announces dramatically that his complex is a gift to the people, and the crowd applauds. You catch the slight smirk of a rival aristocrat in the audience, because tomorrow he will announce an even bigger bath with even hotter water. Rome has discovered a new arena of competition, and it's made of steam. A city that once bathed rarely, now bathes passionately. People have found comfort, connection, and identity in these shared pools. The baths are not just a trend, they're becoming a symbol of Roman life. And deep beneath the fancy architecture and political motives lies something undeniable. People want to feel good. Comfort is not weakness. Rest is not laziness. And for the first time, Rome is building spaces not for war or worship, but for well-being. Ambition may have funded the baths, but pleasure is what will keep them alive.
Night has settled over Rome, but the city is far from quiet. Torches flicker along the streets like a constellation pulled down from the sky, and somewhere, faintly, you can hear laughter echoing from a bathhouse that refuses to close early. You follow the sound, drawn by instinct rather than intention, and find yourself standing before one of the newest complexes, a massive building glowing with warmth in the cool evening air. You step inside, and the world softens. The night crowd is gentler than the daytime crowd. Less performance, more comfort. People who didn't come to impress anyone. People who came because the day was long, and life is heavy,
and the water makes things lighter. Someone has brought a small harp and is plucking slow, dreamy notes that ripple through the room like floating threads of calm. You sink into the tepidarium, the warm pool, and watch as the candlelight blurs the edges of the world. For a moment, everyone is equal. There are no senators or slaves in this water, no merchants or bakers, just bodies, just breath, just humans made briefly weightless. Even the attendants look softer now, no longer braced for the daytime rush, handing out towels like blessings. You close your eyes, the water embraces you, and time feels unimportant. When you open them again, you notice something happening around you, something subtle but new. People are whispering not about politics, not about business, not about gossip, but about feelings. Someone admits they've been tired lately. Someone else confesses they haven't been sleeping. Another talks about missing a loved one far away. In a society obsessed with strength, the bath has accidentally become a safe place for vulnerability. Quietly, without anyone announcing it, the bathhouse has become therapy. A man beside you leans back with a sigh deep enough to shake tired memories loose. "I didn't think I needed this," he murmurs to no one in particular. "But gods, I think I did." No one replies, and somehow that silence is compassion. You move to the caldarium, the hot room, where steam curls in slow swirls like ghosts learning to dance. You sit on a stone bench, and heat flies straight to your bones, loosening muscles that have been clenched for years you don't remember. You notice your breathing deepen without effort, slow, calm, safe. Across from you, two strangers begin talking softly about stress, about disappointment, about wanting rest, not because they are weak, but because they are human. You don't know their names, and they don't know each other's, but it doesn't matter. The heat melts away armor faster than pride can rebuild it. Then someone quotes a philosopher, not one of the loud, dramatic ones, but a lesser-known thinker whose works have quietly drifted through Rome. He said that bathing is not about cleaning the body, but cleaning the mind, the man explains. Everyone nods because it sounds true. Even if the philosopher didn't mean it that way, even if no one remembers his name, the words feel right in this room full of softened hearts. You slip into the cool pool next, letting the water shock your skin pleasantly before settling into tranquility. Here, people float. It is not graceful. It is not dignified, but it is peace. Above you spreads a night-painted ceiling decorated with tiny glass pieces that catch the torchlight like artificial stars. You realize that the architect didn't design it to impress in daylight, but to comfort in darkness. It works. Around the edges of the pool, people rest with their eyes half closed, as if the world itself has paused for them. A woman is humming to herself, a lullaby or a memory, you can't tell. A man drifts with the current, looking more asleep than awake. It's impossible to imagine a Senate meeting here. Here, ambition dissolves. Somebody mentions, dreamily, "If heaven exists, I hope it has warm water." Nobody laughs because everyone is secretly thinking the same thing. And then, without warning, The emotional weight of history appears, not loudly, not dramatically, but like a realization dawning quietly in the background. All of this will outlast empires. The politics that built these walls will crumble someday. The names carved into plaques will fade. The feuds that fueled construction will be forgotten. But the idea, humans gathering to share warmth, rest, and stillness, will echo across centuries. Long after Rome rises, burns, rebuilds, and falls, people will still seek comfort in water, in shared spaces, in the gentle miracle of feeling safe enough to relax. You look around at the sleepy eyes, the softened faces, the unguarded posture of people normally sharp as stone, and the truth settles over you like a blanket. Rome thinks it has built luxury, but it has accidentally built healing. A place where exhaustion becomes permission to rest, where pride becomes softness, where strangers become companions in silence. No one planned it, no one designed it, no one imagined it, but somehow it happened anyway. You leave the water slowly, wrapped in a towel that smells faintly of olive oil and warmth. You walk through the quiet halls, past flickering lamps, and notice that people are speaking more gently now, as if the building itself has convinced them that gentleness is allowed. You step out into the cool night. The air kisses your skin instead of biting it. And for the first time, Rome feels calm. A city once defined by conquest is learning the art of recovery. And somewhere inside you, even if only for tonight, something heavy has unclenched.
The next day arrives not with fanfare, but with routine. The kind of routine that creeps quietly into a civilization without anyone deciding it should. You wake before dawn, step into sandals still warm from sleep, and head toward the baths, not because it's a luxury, not because it's a spectacle, but because at some point, almost without noticing, it became simply what you do. You're not alone. A stream of Romans moves with you. Bakers finished with their night shift, merchants preparing for business, young men pretending they woke up early intentionally, old men who definitely didn't. The baths have folded themselves into the fabric of daily life, slotting neatly into the schedule between breakfast and responsibilities, like stretching before a long day. You don't even question it. You trudge along with the others, and the city feels less like a battlefield and more like a neighborhood. At the entrance, the attendants barely look up. They know most of the crowd by face now. A small nod, a half smile, and you're handed a towel with the unspoken familiarity of a barista who already knows your order. Rome has created the least intimidating public space in its arsenal, and the fearsome empire accidentally invented regulars. Inside, the rhythm unfolds almost automatically. You start in the changing area, tunics off, sandals tucked away, and the usual casual chatter begins. Someone complains about market prices while vigorously polishing their sandals, with the seriousness of a man preparing for holy war. Someone else brags about a dinner party invitation, while clearly hoping to be begged for more details. It's the low-stakes drama everyone secretly enjoys. You're pretty sure 97% of it is exaggerated, but you listen anyway. And then you step into the warm water, and the transformation begins again. Except now it isn't dramatic, it's expected. Daily life in Rome has reorganized around the baths like magnets calming into alignment.
A carpenter negotiates prices while floating lazily near the edge, an activity that should, by all logic, cancel itself out. A scholar reads philosophy aloud to anyone who will tolerate it, pacing on the edge of the pool while dripping everywhere. For someone teaching self-control, he's remarkably unaware of personal space. In one corner, a small group practices breathing exercises, picked up from mystery religions and foreign travel, creating the first ever proto-yoga class without realizing it. Someone nearby tries to join, but accidentally inhales water through the nose, earning sympathetic laughter, the gentle kind, not the mean kind. Life is just happening here. A mainstream historical fact swirls into the moment. This wasn't rare or occasional. The majority of Romans visited baths daily, sometimes even twice. The empire didn't just build massive complexes for holidays, it designed life around them. Hygiene wasn't just physical, it became social, mental, and even economic. Deals were made here, friendships strengthened here, even rivalries dissolved here before they had the chance to turn dangerous. A merchant waves you over, not for business, just to chat. It's impossible not to notice how much softer conversations are when ambition has been soaked for 20 minutes at 38 degrees Celsius. Half the political tensions in Rome could probably be solved if senators made decisions in the caldarium instead of the curia. Honestly, imagine trying to declare war while pruned and sleepy. Threat level, non-existent. You drift into the hot room again, and the heat hits you with that predictable, yet always surprising wall of warmth. People sit shoulder to shoulder, not awkward, not self-conscious, simply coexisting. In a city obsessed with strength and hierarchy, the baths subtly erase labels for an hour or two each day. Power doesn't matter here, neither does wealth. If anything, sweating equally might be the closest thing Rome has to democracy. A quirky tidbit floats into conversation when someone proudly claims they've created a revolutionary new post-bath fragrance made from rose petals, thyme, and sheep fat. The group looks politely horrified. Everyone is trying to mentally support the idea while also hoping never to experience it personally. He insists it will transform the market. You all silently pray it won't. The social structure of Rome is shifting in a way that historians don't always emphasize. Every day, hundreds of casual, friendly interactions are smoothing out mistrust, blending classes, and building networks that have nothing to do with titles. At the baths, you aren't a soldier, a senator, a fishmonger. You're just another tired human trying not to slowly dissolve into the water. Historians still argue whether this bath-centered lifestyle made Rome more unified or more complacent. Did the emphasis on relaxation help stabilize society? Or did it encourage the empire to drift into comfort while threats gathered at the borders? No one agrees, and honestly, sitting here with steam curling through your hair, it's hard to care either way. Laughter ripples across the room when someone tells a harmless joke about a patrician who pretended to be too important for the baths, only to secretly attend every morning wearing the world's least convincing disguise, a hood. The disguise failed when someone pointed out he had a very distinctive bald spot, which is now apparently the most famous bald spot in Rome. Then the moment shifts, subtly, softly, but unmistakably. A man who runs a spice stall sighs and admits he's exhausted. He says he comes here not because he wants leisure, but because this is the only place where he doesn't feel like he's failing someone. A woman nearby relates. She says she's tired of pretending to be strong all the time. You don't speak, but every word feels like something in you has thought before. Daily routine is teaching the empire emotional honesty without ever claiming to. You finish your circuit, warm room, hot room, cold plunge,
and step back into the open air. The breeze hits you. Your muscles feel buttery and stunned. Your shoulders have lowered from your ears to their proper place for weeks on end. And then something almost too subtle to notice happens. You walk differently. Not with swagger, not with arrogance, but with equilibrium. As if the baths didn't just clean you, they recalibrated you. All around you, citizens move through the streets calmer than they arrived. Tempers are shorter in the marketplace before noon and longer afterward. Bakers recover from stress before dough, soldiers before drills, parents before parenting. Rome has unknowingly placed therapy at the center of its schedule. And you? You're already planning to come back tomorrow. Not because you need to, but because you want to. Because it helps. And because somewhere deep down, maybe for the first time, you believe you deserve rest.
You return to the baths later in the week expecting more of the same. Warm water, steam, comfortable silence. But today has a slightly different energy. The entrance is busier, a little louder, and you can't quite place why until you overhear a pair of women whispering with the enthusiasm of amateur detectives, "Did you hear? Someone mixed up the bathing schedules again." There it is. Trouble. Not dramatic trouble, not sword-waving, empire-shaking trouble. No, Rome's finest form of pure chaos. Etiquette confusion. You head inside anyway, towel over your shoulder, and it becomes immediately clear that something has gone hilariously wrong. The usual flow of the bathhouse, men in one wing, women in the other, alternating hours on some days, has been scrambled. Now both groups are wandering the halls, trying to figure out where to be without looking like they're trying to figure out where to be. It is a slow-motion social accident. People avoid eye contact with military precision. No one wants to seem scandalized, but no one wants to seem not scandalized. A middle-aged man is staring intently at a mosaic on the wall as though it contains the secrets of the universe. A young woman waits behind a pillar in the world's most obvious hiding maneuver. You pass two elderly bathgoers storming down the corridor, loudly protesting that in our time, scheduling mattered. One of them trips on his sandal. You pretend not to notice because dignity deserves CPR now and then. And yet, somehow, everyone keeps drifting toward the warm pools like moths to a candle. Soon you're in the tepidarium, and the awkwardness settles the way steam does, everywhere but gently. A man sits next to a woman with the most rigid posture ever recorded in history. She nods politely, he nods politely, and then they both stare ahead as though the slightest blink might detonate embarrassment. Eventually someone relaxes first, people usually do, and a few quiet conversations begin. Nothing wild, just small talk trying to disguise reality. But small talk has a funny way of dissolving walls. Bathhouse scandals are not new. In fact, a mainstream historical fact slides into place here. There really were periods in Rome when mixed bathing was allowed and even common, especially during the later empire before moral pushback shuffled regulations again. There were heated debates about it, moralists in public forums, poets cheering the fun, politicians pretending not to have an opinion while definitely having several opinions. And here you are, watching everyday life reenact the same ancient argument without meaning to. Someone jokes, "Well, if we're here together already, might as well enjoy the water." It's gentle, not creepy, the kind of joke meant to break tension, and it does. The shoulders loosen, conversations unfold, and suddenly the room is warmer, not from temperature but from relief. Still, behind the laughter, you can feel an unspoken curiosity. What are the rules? Not the posted ones, the emotional ones. How close should you sit? Where should you look? Is politeness more important than tradition? Rome never provided a manual for this. Historians still argue whether mixed bathing strengthened gender equality or threatened modesty. Was it progressive or was it reckless? Some scholars insist it broadened social life, others claim it accelerated moral decline. And yet, sitting here, with steam clinging to your skin, the debate feels too abstract. Right now, it's not a cultural turning point, it's just humans trying to be comfortable around other humans, something more complicated than marble inscriptions ever admit. A quirky tidney floats into the scene when the bath's resident eccentric, always one, begins loudly advertising his new invention, privacy sandals. They are normal sandals, except with curtains attached to them, actual cloth curtains hanging around the ankles like a portable stage skirt. The man beams with pride as he demonstrates, swishing dramatically through the water while accidentally soaking several onlookers. He claims they offered total modesty while still letting the feet breathe. No one knows how to respond. You bite your tongue to avoid laughing because you respect vision, even when the vision is that. Midway through this strange morning, the bathhouse attendant finally climbs onto a stool and announces the corrected schedule. The crowd politely claps as though someone has just delivered an inspirational speech. Then slowly the migration begins. Some people head to their designated areas, some linger just a bit longer than necessary, and some pretend not to have heard the announcement until they're ready to leave on their own terms. You stay where you are. Because something interesting is happening, something deeper than a logistical mix-up. The scandal has revealed the true nature of the baths, not rigid, not strict, not ceremonial, adaptable, capable of absorbing social change like a sponge absorbing water. People don't want the baths to be a battleground. They want them to be safe, calm, simple. And so, even amid discomfort, they choose civility. You float over to another pool and conversations drift to you in fragments. My daughter is nervous for her first day of studies. I'm tired of pretending everything is fine. I want to do something else with my life, but I feel trapped. There's no teasing, no judgment, just presence. It's funny, really. Rome prides itself on military strength, towering architecture, and complex law. But its citizens reveal their truest selves somewhere much smaller and softer, in shared water. The steam lifts inhibitions. The warmth unlocks honesty. The baths don't just clean skin, they clean silence. Even now, after the morning's accidental co-ed chaos, the mood has settled into something unexpectedly wholesome. People have chosen empathy over discomfort, kindness over awkwardness. No one expected to bond today, but they did anyway. Eventually, you step out of the water, towel wrapped around you, skin tingling from heat and emotion. On your way out, you witness the best scene of the day. The privacy sandals inventor trying to gift a pair to a senator in hopes of funding. The senator declines as politely as humanly possible while backing away like a man avoiding a furious goose. You store the moment for later. Something that delightful deserves to live forever in memory. The sun hits your eyes as you step outside, and the world feels gentler than it did an hour ago. There's no scandal now, no embarrassment, just another morning in a city learning, imperfectly, but earnestly, how to live together. The baths didn't break society, they softened it. And tomorrow everyone will be back, because no amount of awkwardness can outweigh the comfort waiting behind those doors. Daily routine rewires the world. Etiquette evolves. Rome adjusts. And you, without meaning to, have become part of its rhythm.
By the time the next week rolls around, the bathhouse has returned to its usual rhythm. No scheduling chaos, no scandals, no privacy sandals, though the inventor still lurks hopefully near the entrance, like a salesman waiting for destiny to remember him. You arrive just as the afternoon sun mellows into gold, and instantly you can smell it. Not steam, not oil, commerce. The bathhouse has become a marketplace. Not an official one, just a soft invasion. A handful of stalls has appeared along the interior walkway, selling things a bather might need. You try not to laugh when you see the lineup. Sponges, towels, fragrances, olive oil blends, combs, tiny mirrors, scented powders, hairpins, and an entire shelf of lotions with handwritten signs promising vague miracles. One proudly reads, "Reduces wrinkles, probably." That probably is the most honest advertisement ever printed. You step inside and realize that grooming is no longer just part of the bath routine, it has become the routine. People are comparing oils the way modern gym-goers compare protein powders. In one corner, a man insists his imported Egyptian lotus scent makes him irresistible. The skeptical expression on his wife's face suggests the fragrance has not lived up to its marketing. A mainstream historical fact floats through your mind. Perfume and luxury oils became big business in Rome. Imports flowed in from Arabia,
India, Egypt, even the distant lands around the Black Sea. Bathhouses didn't just encourage hygiene, they fueled an entire consumer economy, where smelling good became a social currency. People didn't merely want to be clean, they wanted to be memorable. You wander toward the oil selection area, the social epicenter of the bathhouse. There are debates happening with the intensity of philosophy lectures. A group of men argues about which is superior, myrtle oil, classic, reliable, or cinnamon oil, showy, expensive. Nearby, two women weigh lavender oil against rose, occasionally pausing to sniff each other's arms like perfumed bloodhounds. Someone pats the space next to them, inviting you to sit. Before you know it, you're holding a small clay jar of imported spikenard oil, being encouraged, no, expected, to sample it. You rub a little onto your arm and instantly regret it. You now smell like a meadow having an emotional breakdown. The group stares at you, waiting for your verdict. You mutter something diplomatic like, "It's bold," and they nod approvingly. Nailed it. You move toward the washing area and it hits you. Every scent clings to the air: pine, citrus, honey, smoke, desert herbs, crushed petals. It's intoxicating, overwhelming, and weirdly comforting. The bathhouse has become Rome's unofficial aromatherapy chamber. A quirky tidbit arrives like a soap bubble floating into frame. Sponges used by wealthy Romans sometimes came from the Aegean Sea and were considered so delicate that owners gave them names. Yes, named sponges. You overhear one man bragging about his sponge, Nerissa, as though introducing a noblewoman. He mentions she has excellent absorption, and you pretend it is the most normal sentence you have ever heard. You slip into the warm pool and instantly notice the real change. Bathing used to be about rest. Now it's about showing off. People stand taller, they talk louder. A young aristocrat keeps pushing his hair back so everyone can see the sheen from his imported jasmine oil. A merchant deliberately makes exaggerated gestures so his expensive bracelets sparkle in the torchlight. Someone has brought a towel embroidered with tiny gold thread and is pretending it's no big deal while casually rotating it so everyone has a chance to notice. The bath is now a catwalk. Even the conversations are shifting. You catch fragments. Did you hear he switched from myrrh to cedar? Bold choice. She used saffron oil last week. I'm trying cardamom next. I heard there's a waiting list for sea silk sponges. It's not ugly exactly, not mean-spirited, just competitive. Rome has discovered beauty standards, and the crowd is sprinting toward them. Historians still argue whether this shift improved self-care or poisoned it. Did the trade of luxury bathing goods elevate well-being, or did it push Romans to constantly compare, compete, and spend? Opinions clash harder than gladiators, and no consensus has ever stuck. A little later, you walk to the cool pool, and the atmosphere relaxes again. The post-bath glow makes everyone softer, and suddenly the vanity melts away. People who 10 minutes ago were evaluating each other like judges at a fragrance Olympics now chat about dinner plans, families, work, dreams. Someone confesses that they only bought expensive oil because they were afraid of being judged. Another admits they can't smell the difference between most blends anyway. They just play along. The honesty cuts through the incense. Someone next to you sighs, "I like the baths better when nobody's trying so hard." You nod, and you mean it. The water doesn't care what anyone smells like. The steam doesn't care who owns what. The quiet doesn't care about trends. And slowly, without speeches or declarations, the room remembers why it's here. A group of friends drifts into laughter over nothing. A child splashes accidentally and apologizes only for everyone nearby to smile and reassure them. A stranger helps an older woman up the steps. Someone floats with eyes closed, without caring who is watching. Luxury fades. Humanity stays. By the time you rise from the water, the posturing has evaporated. You wrap yourself in a towel, not the fanciest one, not the poorest one, just a towel, and step into the open hall. Some people are still shopping for oils and sponges, others are heading home, and the privacy sandals inventor is still pitching his idea with heroic optimism. But for you, the insight rings quietly. Rome thinks it is buying beauty. What it is actually buying is belonging. A place to gather, a place to talk, a place to be. And as you step back into the afternoon sun, smelling faintly of maybe too bold spikenard, you feel it again. Rome growing not just in size, but in soul. The baths aren't simply part of daily life anymore. They're becoming identity.
As days pass, you notice an unmistakable pattern emerging. Rome has begun to treat bathing as a performance of civility, a ritualized, almost sacred habit that defines both personal and social identity. You stroll past the bustling markets, the clatter of carts and shouts of vendors fading as you approach the familiar stone entrance of your favorite bathhouse. The hum of conversation grows louder as you near, a gentle tide of expectation and curiosity waiting to greet anyone who steps across the threshold. Inside, the bathhouse has taken on a new rhythm, more refined, more deliberate. The early chaos has given way to choreography. Men and women know where to sit, which pools to enter first, and how to navigate the ritual of oiling, scraping, and soaking without offending others. There's an unspoken etiquette now, subtle gestures that communicate respect, patience, and awareness. A nod here, a soft laugh there, and the entire room breathes in quiet harmony. It's remarkable considering how recently the place was a chaotic mix of confusion and curiosity. You move toward the tepidarium, noting the faint fragrance of blended oils lingering in the air: myrtle, cinnamon, rose, and a hint of imported cedar. A mainstream historical fact floats into your mind as you inhale. The Roman obsession with fragrances and oils wasn't merely indulgence, it was an art, a social language. Perfumes, scented oils, and even the types of water used signaled class, taste, and refinement. One could read a person's status as easily from the scent clinging to their skin as from their tunic or sandals. A quirky tidbit distracts you momentarily. A man across the room demonstrates a new oil swirling technique he claims creates a temporary glow on the skin, resembling polished marble. Observers gasp and clap politely, though I suspect no one truly believes it. Still, the spectacle adds a layer of charm to the otherwise calm room. Rome thrives on the theatrical, even in the smallest acts of hygiene. Historians still argue whether this increasing sophistication in bathing culture was motivated primarily by genuine pursuit of comfort or social competition. Some suggest that elites and commoners alike embraced the ritual to cultivate public image, while others argue it evolved organically, as citizens recognized the simple pleasure and restorative power of water. The truth likely lies somewhere in between, a mix of vanity and virtue, desire and necessity. You step into the warm pool and sink into the soothing embrace of water heated just enough to relax muscles while invigorating the mind. Around you, conversations carry soft tones, but the topics have matured. Discussions are no longer about minor rivalries, spilled oil, or misplaced schedules. Instead, people talk about literature, politics, civic projects, and philosophical questions about life and mortality. Bathing has become a stage for intellectual exchange, a salon without walls where ideas float as freely as bodies in the water. A group of young men debates whether Greek gymnasiums or Roman bathhouses offer superior methods for physical and mental wellness. One insists the Strigil method aligns the spirit, while another claims that soap's practicality trumps tradition. You recognize the echo of centuries of debate, the tension between progress and heritage. Yet here, it exists without hostility, softened by warmth and water. You wander toward the caldarium, the hottest room, and watch as the interplay of steam, light, and conversation creates something almost hypnotic. The walls seem alive with reflection. Flickering torchlight dances on rippling surfaces. Voices overlap gently, and laughter punctuates discussion without dominance. Bathing has transcended hygiene. It is now ritual, entertainment, and social glue, simultaneously calming the body and sharpening the mind. The bathhouse attendants move with practiced efficiency, offering towels, supervising heat, and guiding newcomers with quiet patience. Their presence reinforces the unspoken order. Even the once famous eccentric with his privacy sandals has adapted, now offering advice on oil combinations rather than theatrical demonstrations. He too has been absorbed into this subtle choreography of civility. As you float quietly in the warm water, you reflect on what has changed. Rome has discovered that bathing is more than cleanliness or indulgence. It is a daily rehearsal of human empathy, civility, and shared experience. It teaches citizens how to coexist, to navigate complexity, and to find joy in simple rituals. And in doing so, it begins to shape the very identity of the city, not through conquest, laws, or speeches, but through shared warmth and water. Outside, the sun dips lower, casting elongated shadows across the entranceway. You rise slowly from the pool, muscles relaxed, mind clearer, and step toward the exit. Citizens continue their quiet conversations, gliding toward the cool evening air, carrying the subtle transformation of the baths into the streets. Even the faint scent of oils lingers on the breeze, a reminder that culture, like water, leaves traces that reach far beyond its source. The bathhouses are no longer mere facilities. They are arenas of civility, theaters of comfort, laboratories of society. Rome is beginning to understand that a civilization's true power lies not only in armies and walls, but in the everyday rituals that bind people together. Rituals as simple, as essential, and as quietly transformative as soaking in warm water.
You return to the baths in the early morning, just as the city begins to stir with muted energy. The sun glances off wet stone, casting long, liquid gold reflections across the pools. There's a subtle hush to the air, a reverence that wasn't present in the chaotic openings of earlier weeks. You notice immediately how the rituals of bathing have deepened. Romans are no longer fumbling through steps. They move with quiet precision, a choreography born of habit, observation, and gentle social pressure. You start at the tepidarium, where the temperature is designed to ease muscles without shocking the body. A mainstream historical fact settles in. By this period, many baths had adopted carefully controlled heating systems using hypocasts, underground furnaces that allowed water and air to maintain steady, pleasant temperatures. This engineering marvel is rarely visible, but its effects are felt by everyone who enters, a hidden layer of luxury and comfort that even the humblest visitor experiences. You notice small adjustments in etiquette, too. Conversations no longer overlap chaotically. Voices softened and settle into rhythm. A group of older men debates the merits of olive oil versus soap without raising their tones or flailing gestures. Nearby, a young woman laughs quietly at a friend's anecdote about a merchant who fell asleep mid-scraping session. Everything is calmer, slower, and yet charged with subtle energy, the energy of people learning to coexist. A quirky tidbit catches your attention. One of the attendants has begun using scented sponges to gently mark the boundaries of each bather's space. The scent is lavender, faint enough not to overpower, but noticeable, creating a subtle aura of order and comfort. Patrons begin to intuitively respect these invisible markers, proving that sometimes the smallest gestures shape behavior far more effectively than rules. Historians still argue whether this increasing sophistication was socially imposed or arose organically from shared human behavior. Did Romans naturally adjust to maximize comfort and civility? Or did influential patrons and attendants actively shape these practices to cultivate a sense of order? The debate continues, and in the warm water, the question feels almost philosophical rather than practical. you move into the caldarium, where the heat envelops you in a thick, tactile presence. The sensation is physical, but it also carries a subtle psychological effect. The mind quiets as the body succumbs to warmth. Conversations here are almost reverential. People discuss topics they would never dare voice elsewhere. Family disputes, regrets, ambitions, minor disappointments. The baths have become a confessional of sorts, a socially sanctioned space where vulnerability is allowed, even encouraged. Near the edge of the pool, a man demonstrates the latest iteration of the oil scraping technique, but now it's less about showmanship and more about finesse. He moves slowly, deliberately, like a sculptor revealing subtle details in marble. The observer next to him murmurs approval, pointing out that the technique not only cleanses the skin, but also relaxes the nerves. This moment highlights something essential. Bathing is no longer merely functional, it is deeply experiential, an interplay of physical and mental satisfaction. You float quietly, feeling the warmth seep into tired muscles and observe interactions around you. Families converse softly, friends share small jokes, strangers help each other navigate slippery floors. The baths, once chaotic and experimental, have matured into a social ecosystem. Everyone participates in the unspoken rules of civility, contributing to an environment that supports relaxation, conversation, and subtle human connection. A surprising element emerges. Artisans and merchants begin leaving behind small gestures to enhance comfort. A towel is folded with care, a fragrance subtly applied to the air, a small carved stool placed strategically near a pool for convenience. These minor acts of consideration ripple through the crowd, creating an atmosphere of quiet generosity and mindfulness. The baths are no longer just a physical space, they are a manifestation of civic culture, a microcosm of social values. Outside the steam-filled halls, Rome hums with energy, but inside, time stretches and bends. Citizens emerge slowly, bodies relaxed, minds softened, conversations lighter. They carry with them the subtle imprint of the baths, a shared sense of well-being, awareness, and civility that influences the rest of their day. The city is not just cleaner, it is more attuned, more harmonious, more conscious of the delicate interplay of human presence. And as you step onto the sun-warmed stones to leave, you realize something remarkable. Rome's public baths have evolved far beyond mere hygiene. They are classrooms, theaters, social laboratories, and sanctuaries all at once. They teach the art of living slowly, attentively, and with a touch of compassion. The empire's power is not just in conquest or legislation, but in its ability to shape daily life in small, profoundly human ways, through warmth, water, and shared ritual.
The next afternoon, you return to find the bathhouse subtly transformed yet again. Not physically, it's still the same stone walls, pools, and hypocausts, but socially, you sense a quiet evolution. Patrons now arrive with purpose, moving like participants in a well-rehearsed dance, aware of etiquette, aware of the small cues that make communal bathing comfortable. The early chaos of scheduling mishaps and awkward encounters has been replaced by a slow, almost imperceptible sophistication. You begin in the frigidarium, the cool pool, letting the water shock and refresh your muscles after the warm rooms. There's a mainstream historical fact tucked into this moment. Romans understood that alternating between hot and cold water promoted circulation, improved skin, and invigorated the body. They may not have called it wellness science, but the effect was tangible. Every plunge is both physical rejuvenation and a subtle social ritual. The cold water momentarily strips away vanity, leaving only presence. Around you, patrons engage in a quiet social calibration. People speak in measured tones, laugh in moderation, and avoid abrupt movements that might disturb others. There's a delicate balance here: relaxation without chaos, freedom without disregard. You can see it in the way a young man helps a friend into the pool, or how a group of women shares a soft laugh without attracting the attention of those near the edge. A quirky tidbit drifts into view.
One patron, apparently obsessed with perfection, has arranged their personal oil and soap in a miniature tableau on the ledge, spoons aligned, jars parallel, sponges stacked like tiny monuments. Observers stare with mild amusement, some pointing discreetly while others take mental notes, likely to replicate the obsessive precision in their own routines. You wonder how many centuries will pass before Instagram influencers perform essentially the same ritual, only with filters. Historians still argue whether the increasing order and ritualization of bathhouse life helped the empire or merely reinforced social hierarchies. Did these routines subtly flatten class distinctions by encouraging shared experiences? Or did they simply teach citizens to perform civility in a carefully controlled setting while inequalities persisted outside the walls? The debate continues, but inside, no one seems to care. They are too busy inhabiting the shared rhythm of the baths. You move to the tepidarium, noticing how carefully the space has been curated for comfort and sociability. Warm pools ripple gently, benches are arranged to encourage conversation without crowding, and soft lighting reflects from mosaics, creating the impression that the bath itself is breathing alongside its occupants. A small group debates the merits of Greek versus Roman bathing techniques, not with heated argument, but with respectful curiosity, punctuated by laughter and occasional teasing. You can feel knowledge passing subtly, almost unconsciously, from one person to another. The bathhouse attendants glide quietly between pools, ensuring safety and facilitating order without imposing. Their presence has become almost invisible because it blends so seamlessly into the environment. It's remarkable, a space bustling with activity, yet still calming. Even the eccentric with the privacy sandals has shifted roles, now offering guidance to new bathers with a mixture of charm and gentle humor. Floating quietly, you observe human interactions subtly shaping the architecture of society. Simple gestures, a towel offered, a seat shared, a polite smile create a network of micro-civility that extends beyond the water. Every day, bathers practice empathy, patience, and adaptability whether they realize it or not. It's a soft revolution, as influential as any speech or law, carried out in whispers, sighs, and the gentle lapping of water. In one corner, a young apprentice compares oils and scents with a mentor, not for prestige, but for shared discovery. The conversation meanders into personal stories, family anecdotes, and philosophical reflections about life in the city. The learning is subtle, almost invisible, yet profoundly human. The baths are education disguised as leisure, socialization dressed as hygiene, and community expressed through shared routine. By the time you leave, you notice that patrons emerge differently than they arrived. Shoulders are relaxed, faces calm, eyes softer. You feel it too. The water, the ritual, the subtle social ballet, it reshapes the body, the mind, and even the way you perceive the world outside these walls. Rome is teaching itself to be gentle, attentive, and connected one bath at a time. And somewhere, quietly, you realize that this is what civilization looks like when it nurtures itself with patience and care.
A week later, you arrive at the baths under the late afternoon sun, which casts a warm, honeyed glow on the stone facades. The streets leading here are quieter than usual, as if the city itself has learned to pause before the daily rush. Inside, the familiar hum of conversation greets you. You notice immediately that the bathhouse has become almost meditative in its regularity. The routines are subtle but unmistakable. Bathers know where to go, how to behave, and when to speak. It's no longer chaotic, it's orchestrated. You begin in the warm pool, letting your body adjust to the soothing heat. A mainstream historical fact drifts into your awareness. Roman engineers perfected the hypocaust system to maintain consistent temperatures across rooms, demonstrating a sophisticated understanding of thermodynamics. It wasn't just comfort, it was science applied to social life. Every ripple you feel in the water,
every gentle convective current is a testament to practical ingenuity subtly shaping human experience. Around you, conversations flow like gentle eddies. Two young men debate philosophical theories while splashing lightly, careful not to disrupt the rhythm of those around them. A woman laughs quietly at a friend's story about a stubborn olive tree that refuses to bear fruit, drawing a small circle of sympathetic listeners. The interactions are soft but layered with meaning. The bathhouse has become a place for social literacy, a school without walls where citizens learn patience, empathy, and shared presence. A quirky tidbit adds color. Someone has brought a miniature sculpture of Neptune to place on the edge of the pool, claiming it brings good fortune in bathing. The figure wobbles perilously every time a bather shifts, yet no one moves it, as if acknowledging that charm and chance are both part of daily life. Laughter erupts quietly when it nearly topples, and everyone immediately resumes their routines as though nothing happened. Historians still argue whether these rituals of bathing were a genuine public good or merely performative acts reinforcing social hierarchies. Did citizens truly benefit from shared hygiene and relaxation, or were the baths primarily a stage for displaying wealth, taste, and refinement? While some suggest the public enjoyed tangible improvements in health and sociability, others emphasize the subtle social pressure to conform. Both perspectives coexist, swirling beneath the water and within the conversations you overhear. You move toward the caldarium, enveloped in a thick, comforting steam. The warmth wraps around your body, loosening muscles, softening posture, and even reshaping mood. Here people speak more freely, their voices hushed, yet rich with intimacy. Complaints, confessions, small triumphs, all emerge in this controlled warmth. The baths have evolved into a sanctuary where vulnerability is socially acceptable, almost encouraged. A man near the edge demonstrates a refined oil scraping technique, gliding the strigil across his skin with measured precision. Observers watch with quiet fascination, sometimes asking questions, sometimes simply admiring. It's no longer about showing off, but about mastery and self-care. The act itself becomes a performance of presence, a subtle statement that care for oneself and for others matters. You notice a young apprentice helping an elderly woman navigate the slippery steps, offering a hand without ceremony. Nearby, friends share whispered stories, forming temporary micro-communities of empathy and attention. The baths are no longer a place of casual leisure. They have become instruments of social cohesion, teaching citizens the art of gentle coexistence. By the time you leave, twilight has begun to color the sky. Patrons exit slowly, carrying the warmth, the scents, and the lessons of the bath with them. Conversations spill quietly into the streets, echoing into shops, homes, and workplaces. Rome is not just cleaner, it is softer, more aware, and more connected, one shared ritual at a time. And you, walking home, feel the lingering warmth as a reminder of how profoundly something as simple as bathing can shape a civilization.
As the next morning unfolds, you approach the baths with a sense of familiarity, almost bordering on reverence. The city around you hums with ordinary activity, vendors calling out their wares, carts rumbling over cobblestones. But inside these walls, a different rhythm governs everything. You notice immediately that the bathhouse has developed an unspoken hierarchy, not of power or wealth, but of experience and grace. Regulars move confidently, effortlessly navigating pools, benches, and steam-filled corridors. Newcomers follow suit, gradually absorbing the unspoken rules of this liquid society. You step into the tepidarium, letting the warm water cradle your muscles. A mainstream historical fact floats into your mind. By the height of the empire, Roman bathhouses were sophisticated hubs with multiple rooms at varying temperatures, libraries, exercise areas, and gardens. They were as much cultural centers as hygienic facilities, designed to occupy citizens' minds as well as their bodies. Here you sense that every splash, every conversation is a continuation of centuries of accumulated practice. Nearby, a small group of men debates the latest health theory, whether hot baths followed by cold plunges actually improve longevity or merely provide temporary relief. Their tones are measured, not competitive. Everyone listens politely, nodding occasionally, as if acknowledging that the discussion itself is more important than the conclusion. You realize that the bathhouse has become a forum for intellectual exchange as subtle as the heat waves rising from the pools. A quirky detail draws your attention. Someone has installed tiny carved figures along the edge of the caldarium, little mythological characters watching over bathers. A small child points at one, giggling, and the adults murmur appreciation for the whimsy. You note that even in a city obsessed with status, moments of play and imagination persist, softening routines with unexpected charm. Historians still debate whether the bathhouses reinforced Roman social hierarchies or genuinely fostered communal equality. Did shared bathing experiences encourage cohesion across classes, or merely create a controlled environment where elite behaviors were performed for all to see? Walking through the pools, you can see evidence of both. Merchants and senators float side by side, yet subtle differences, oil quality, towel texture, strigil technique, still communicate social nuance. Even as the space softens interactions, social codes quietly persist. You move to the caldarium, enveloped in a fragrant cloud of steam. The air is thick but gentle, each inhalation a warm, comforting embrace. Around you, people sit in clusters or float alone, voices hushed, eyes reflective. Someone murmurs a personal worry, and another responds with quiet reassurance. It's remarkable, this ritual, ostensibly about hygiene, has become a sanctuary for emotional expression and human connection. The oil rituals are particularly pronounced today. A group demonstrates how to mix imported myrrh with local lavender for a balanced scent, explaining how to apply it for both relaxation and subtle social signaling. Others watch, take notes, and eventually experiment on themselves. The oils have become a language, a gentle code, signaling care, taste, and attentiveness. The act of bathing is now entwined with identity, personal expression, and social literacy. You drift toward the frigidarium, the cool pool providing a sharp contrast to the heat. The shock to your system is invigorating, yet there's a serene calm underlying it. Patrons emerge from warm areas, exchanging quiet remarks about temperature, water clarity, and comfort. You realize that the baths teach patience, the timing of each plunge, the tempo of conversation, the grace of movement through shared spaces. Civilization itself feels like it is rehearsing here, day by day. By the time you leave, shadows stretch long across the entranceway. The scents of oils, water, and stone linger faintly in the air, mingling with the soft chatter as bathers filter out into the streets. You step onto the sun-warmed pavement, muscles relaxed, mind clearer, noticing that the subtle lessons of etiquette, patience, and presence follow you outside the walls. Rome is no longer merely an empire of conquest. It is a city shaped by shared rituals, gentle routines, and the transformative power of water. You take a deep breath and walk home, knowing that tomorrow and every day thereafter, the bathhouse will continue to teach what no formal institution can: the quiet art of living, breathing, and coexisting, one soak at a time.
You arrive at the baths once more, this time near twilight, when the sun dips low and casts amber reflections across the stone walls and pools. The city outside is settling into evening, the clatter of carts fading, voices muted, as if all of Rome collectively exhales. Inside, the bathhouse hums with gentle activity, familiar yet ever-changing, like a living organism whose growth is measured in steam and scent rather than stone and mortar. You notice immediately that the subtle choreography of human interaction has fully matured. Regulars navigate the pools with unspoken confidence. Newcomers follow the rhythms they observe, and the space feels simultaneously intimate and communal. You step into the tepidarium, the warm water embracing you as though welcoming a long-lost friend. A mainstream historical fact reminds you of the sophistication of Roman engineering. Hypocaust systems under the floors and walls maintain precise temperatures, a silent testament to technical mastery, ensuring that each pool provides the perfect balance of comfort and circulation. It's a marvel that is invisible, yet profoundly felt, shaping not only the body, but the psyche of every bather. Around you, the conversations are gentle, reflective, and rich with subtlety. Friends share minor triumphs of daily life. Parents explain local customs to children, and strangers trade observations about the weather or market conditions. The bathhouse has evolved into a crucible of social cohesion, a place where civility is rehearsed, empathy is practiced, and hierarchy softens in the glow of steam. A quirky detail catches your eye. One bather has arranged a few small pebbles along the pool's edge, claiming they represent the 7 hills of Rome. The gesture is symbolic, playful, and utterly harmless, yet it sparks quiet conversation about geography, history, and memory. Historians still debate whether this structured social immersion had lasting cultural impact. Did daily routines in the bathhouses strengthen communal bonds and facilitate mental wellness, or were they primarily performative, masking the rigid inequalities of Roman society? While definitive answers remain elusive, the experience here, soft, fluid, and intimate, suggests that even performative rituals can foster genuine connection. You move into the caldarium, the hot room, where the heat envelops you like a thick, fragrant blanket. Patrons lean back against the walls, breathing deeply, muscles relaxed, voices soft. Here, people discuss everything from philosophy to poetry to personal anxieties. The bathhouse has become a sanctuary for vulnerability. It encourages honesty in ways that public squares or Senate chambers cannot. Even the once eccentric privacy sandals inventor has been absorbed into the social fabric, quietly helping newcomers navigate the rituals without fanfare. You float, letting the heat and water align body and mind. Conversations drift past like gentle currents. One group speculates on future architectural innovations. Another exchanges ideas for medicinal oils, and a young couple debates whether Greek or Roman bathing traditions are superior. The multiplicity of discussions, overlapping yet unobtrusive, reflects a society learning subtlety, patience, and shared engagement. Every gesture, every word, every ripple in the water is part of an intricate social symphony. Eventually, you move to the frigidarium, the cool water, embracing you as it shocks the senses. Patrons emerge refreshed, calm, and subtly transformed. There's a sense of ritual completeness, the cycle of heat and cold, of immersion and conversation, of reflection and release, mirrors the rhythm of human life itself. The bathhouse has become more than a place for hygiene. It is a microcosm of civilization, a laboratory of civility, a sanctuary for body and mind, and a subtle yet profound instrument of culture. You rise from the water, Wrap yourself in a towel scented faintly with lavender and cedar and step into the evening air. The city feels calmer, more ordered, yet alive with gentle motion. Citizens carry the lessons of the baths into the streets: patience, attentiveness, empathy, and the art of coexistence. You realize that Rome's true legacy isn't solely in stone or conquest, but in these quiet spaces where people learn to live together thoughtfully and gently. As you exit, the torchlight flickers against the stone, echoing across pools that reflect not just faces, but culture itself. You pause, inhaling the warm, fragrant air, and feel an unmistakable sense of completion. The baths are no longer merely Roman, they are timeless. And you, having participated in this ancient choreography of water and warmth, carry its lessons quietly within yourself. Now, as you step away from the pools and the gentle hum of conversation fades into the evening air, take a slow, deep breath. Let the warmth of the bath linger in your skin. The faint scents of oils and herbs wrap around your memory, and the subtle rhythm of human interaction settle softly into your mind. The city outside may rush and bustle, but here, within the echo of marble and steam, time feels suspended. Muscles that were tight now relax fully. Shoulders drop, and your heartbeat slows, syncing with the calm cadence of others who shared this space. Imagine the quiet pools still shimmering in torchlight, the smooth stones beneath your feet, the gentle murmur of voices blending with the soft drip of water. Think of the ritual not as a chore, but as a gift, an ancient form of self-care and social grace, a reminder that even in bustling cities, humans can create sanctuaries of rest, empathy, and reflection. Picture the smiles, the laughter, the quiet acts of generosity, someone offering a hand, a towel, a kind word. These small gestures echo far beyond the baths themselves, shaping not just individuals, but the rhythm of a city learning to breathe together thoughtfully and gently. Let your mind drift slowly as water drifts across a pool's surface until every tension dissolves, leaving nothing but calm awareness. Feel the gentle whisper of steam against your cheeks, the residual warmth in your skin, and allow yourself to become weightless, if only for a moment. This space of water, warmth, and soft human connection is yours to carry within you. Let it settle, quietly, like sediment at the bottom of a clear pool. Tonight, Rome rests, and you do too.